A newlywed couple moves into their dream home, only to uncover a horrifying past buried in its walls. Whispers, shadows, and a locked box unleash terror beyond imagination. What they found changed everything. And one of them never returned. Even the most beautiful beginnings can hide the darkest secrets. A wedding is meant to be a celebration of love, of unity, of two souls embarking on a journey together through life. The air is filled with laughter, blessings, and the sweet aroma of dreams yet to unfold. Families gather, tears of joy are shed, and promises are exchanged under the open sky or within the sacred silence of a holy place. Everyone hopes for the best, everyone prays for happiness, but life, as it often does, has its own script to follow, one that doesn't always bow to our expectations. This story begins like any other tale of young love. A couple, fresh in their vows, stepped into their new home, a modest, cozy place nestled on the edge of a quiet town. They were full of hope, carrying with them the warmth of their honeymoon smiles and the belief that nothing could ever shake what they had found in each other. The walls were freshly painted, the furniture neatly arranged, and every corner of their new space radiated a sense of beginning. Yet within those walls, hidden in the silence between their laughter, something else waited. Something ancient, something wounded, something that had not forgotten. The first few days were perfect. They cooked together, laughed late into the night, and filled their evenings with candlelit dinners and whispered plans about the future. Their love seemed invincible, glowing brighter with every passing moment. But that warmth began to cool, almost imperceptibly at first. The lights flickered more than usual. Strange noises came from the attic, and at night the air seemed heavier, colder, as if the house exhaled with each creak of the wood. They brushed it off. New houses settle, they told themselves. Every sound had a rational explanation. Until the rationality started to unravel. One night, as the husband dozed off on the couch watching television, he heard what sounded like soft footsteps upstairs. He assumed it was his wife, but when he called out her name, she answered from the kitchen behind him. He froze, every hair on his body standing straight. The steps upstairs stopped. When they both went up to investigate, there was nothing. Just the soft hum of an old ceiling fan and the dim light casting long, suspicious shadows down the hallway. Still, they found nothing unusual. No intruder, no signs of anyone else being there. Just silence. Days passed and the unease grew. The wife began to feel watched, especially when alone. Sometimes she'd catch a glimpse of something in the mirror, a figure that disappeared the moment she turned around. The husband, too, started waking up at exactly 3:03 a.m., drenched in sweat with a feeling that someone was standing right beside their bed. Each time he looked, there was no one, yet he couldn't shake the sensation that their home no longer belonged to just the two of them. Then came the whispers, soft, almost loving, but in a language they couldn't understand. The wife would hear them in the bathroom as she brushed her hair, a hushed voice speaking just behind her. At first, she thought it was stress, perhaps just the echoes of her own thoughts. But one evening, she recorded the sound using her phone just to be sure. When they played it back, the whisper was clear. It wasn't just sound, it was a message, a repeated chant, one that made their blood run cold. They tried to translate it, even asked a friend who had studied ancient dialects. The translation made no sense, return what was taken. They hadn't taken anything, or at least that's what they believed. Sleep became rare. The couple argued more frequently now over little things. The air between them thickened with tension. The husband became withdrawn, often staring out the window for hours as if waiting for something. The wife, on the other hand, became obsessed with the attic, convinced there was something buried within it. One night, while her husband was out, she climbed up alone, determined to find the source of the disturbances. She opened an old wooden hatch that led to a forgotten compartment beneath the attic floorboards. Inside, she found a box, small, ornate, and locked with rusted clasps. She didn't dare open it. She simply brought it down and waited for her husband. When he returned and saw the box, something in him changed. His face paled, his hands trembled, and his eyes seemed to recognize it. That night, the truth began to unravel. Years before they met, the husband had briefly lived in this very house with a distant relative. He had never told her that relative, his aunt, had practiced something darker than tradition, rituals, old rites that bordered on the occult. The town knew rumors, but no one had ever dared to speak openly. One night, the aunt vanished without a trace. The authorities found signs of a struggle, symbols etched into the walls, and that box, sealed, locked away by a local priest who warned never to disturb it. The house had stood empty for years afterward. The land was cheap. When the couple had searched for homes, it was the husband who pushed for this one, drawn by some invisible force he couldn't explain. Now the box had been found, and with its appearance, things took a violent turn. Doors slammed without reason. The wife began waking up with bruises on her arms and legs, with no memory of how she got them. The husband began speaking in his sleep, his voice no longer his own. The energy in the house turned from eerie to dangerous. Friends who visited refused to return. Even animals avoided the place. Something had awakened. Then it was angry. They tried to leave, but the moment they began packing, things escalated. The wife was pushed down the stairs by an unseen force. The husband's car engine failed repeatedly, though mechanics found nothing wrong. Each attempt to escape seemed met with retaliation. Eventually, they turned to helps. Spiritual leaders, paranormal experts, anyone who could provide answers. One investigator stayed the night with them, a hardened man who had seen many things in his line of work. But when morning came, he refused to speak about what he witnessed. He simply said, "Burn the box, bury the ashes, and leave." They followed his instructions, desperate for peace. But peace didn't return. The wife began to change. Her laughter became unnatural, sudden and sharp. She stared at walls for long minutes, her lips moving in silent words. The husband began documenting her behavior, terrified but unsure of what to do. One night, she disappeared, vanished from the locked house. The police found no signs of forced entry. Only a single, chilling message written on their bedroom mirror in red. "She's mine now."